Hi, I'm Alexa, and today we are going to talk about situational leadership. For those who do not know, haven't seen one of the videos where I've mentioned it, I have an MBA with a specialization in organizational leadership. I have done a lot of trainings over the years, both required of me through my jobs or just because I enjoy learning about leadership, so in my own personal free time. I have been a people manager for close to over a decade. I mean, combined, my experience is more than a decade of experience in managing people and teams. And I brought all this up just to say that I know just enough to be dangerous talking about situational leadership. When I learned about situational leadership, and I don't remember if it was in my MBA studies that I learned about it, or if I'd learned about it before and just learned more about it during my degree. I now know I was learning situational leadership too. So situational leadership, the entire premise of it is essentially boils down to every situation is different. Therefore, your leadership and your approach to that situation need to be a little bit different as well. Now, I've read a little bit of conflicting information. It is the original situational leadership is credited to Hersey and Blanchard, and was developed in the late 60s, 1960s. Situational leadership 2, Blanchard built on that existing framework and sort of refined it, in his opinion. So I learned it that there are essentially development levels, and then there are styles to match those development levels. So the development level is a combination of two things: the commitment, or basically your attitude towards the job or the situation or the task at hand, and your competence. How good are you at it? Are you brand new and need to learn it, or are you completely tenured? You literally know everything there is to know about the situation. So you can have low competence because you're brand new in a job, but high commitment because you're excited you just got a new job. You can have low competence and low commitment because you're frustrated and you're like, why am I not learning this? Or I don't find it interesting, whatever that is, pushing that feeling of low commitment. Or you can have high competence, low commitment. You've learned how to do your job and now you're bored with it. Like, is this it? Is there anything else to do? Like, you get sort of checked out, right? Or you can have high competence, you're an expert at your job, and high commitment, you really enjoy it. So these are the levels. I might have mixed up D1 and D2, but D1, D2, D3, D4. So then D1, if that is the work you are working with as a people leader, if that is the case that they are low competence, high commitment, you're going to come out with an S1 style of leadership. Now, this is extremely directive. You are going to be, what does the SOP say? I've joked multiple times that this is sort of one of my favorite phrases. When people come to me with questions, I want them to tell me what they've done to solve it or what they think the answer should be. And a lot of the times my reply would be, what does the handbook say? What does the SOP say? What does this say? Especially when you are new and those resources are there for you as a new employee, we have to take that initiative and actually use them and then say, I was looking in the SOP and this step seems to tell me what to do, but I don't understand it. Can you help me? Right? There's a way of approaching. And I think that one, helps people build confidence by finding the information themselves. It does for me as a person who works on new tasks and finding my way. But it also gives that support of, I'm still here to answer your questions. Let's get it done right. Let's get it done fast. And then as you evolve, you can learn a little bit more about the reasoning why behind and develop your critical thinking skills. I think one of the hardest situations to coach or manage, whatever you want to call it, is when someone is extremely competent but checked out. Low competence, checked out, it can also be difficult. I think they're challenging in two different ways. I think for me, the high competence and the low commitment is challenging more for me, probably because you hate to see it. You absolutely don't want your best performers who are so good at their job to be checked out. You want them to be engaged, and you want to be able to offer them things that they enjoy, not just pile all of the tasks that you know they'll get done and they need to get done right. So sucks to be you. You lucked out. You're the best. You get to do them. It's tricky. And these four development levels and these four styles, everything is always sort of in flux. Like, you can be having a really bad day as potentially a high performer and be super low performer that day, super checked out, and then the next day you feel better and you're back to your normal self. So, or it could be you're kind of under the weather for a week, or you're stressed, or whatever it is. So it's not like you're one level and you're kind of always going to be that level. I hope you can see how these are sort of spectrums, right? Ranges. Then you can kind of slide back and forth. If something changes in your normal processes and you now have to relearn and sort of stop yourself from doing something you used to know and do every day, that autopilot can kick in. So you have to kind of train yourself to do something differently. It can go back and forth, right? So I was thinking about this a lot lately, and I wanted to just kind of jump on and talk about it a little bit. I think we are also able to take this premise of situational leadership and use it outside of jobs. I think in raising children, or, even in your friendships or your other personal relationships, everyone comes to the table differently in different ways. And throughout the year, throughout the week, throughout the day, our moods and our ability to absorb stress or not absorb stress as the case may be, it varies and it changes. But again, when we boil down this idea of every situation is different, so be open to approaching it a little bit differently, I think it opens up that door to really thinking about what your feedback could be to other people when either it's your job to give it to them or they're asking you for it, right? Unsolicited feedback, when it's not your job to give feedback, shaky ground, sometimes appreciated, sometimes not, sometimes warranted, sometimes not, right? So every situation is different. You know me, I am going to leave a couple of links in the description. One is to the Center for Leadership Studies, which is situational.com. And that one, I believe, talks about the original situational leadership, or it might have even been developed even more, because there is a version that has maturity levels. Maturity levels are really interesting. And I think that's I think that's a good call out. Is someone who is, let's say, a D3, high competence but low commitment, are they mature enough to have those conversations about why the commitment is waning, lessening, right? About what might be going on, what the stresses are. If people are very touchy on when they make a mistake, can they take direct guidance on how to fix it? Or do you have to kind of carefully lead them through to almost finding the answer on their own, even though technically you gave it to them? Maturity levels are interesting. And again, if you are really tired, really hungry, really grumpy, your ability to take feedback lessens for all of us. Today, I had back-to-back meetings, and I had to tell someone, I said, I'm starting to get a headache. I don't know if it's going to turn bad. I do not think I'm able right now. I do not think I have the capacity to actually help you with something I know you need my help with. And I don't want to give you bad help. Right. And so being able to tell them where I was allowed them to adjust what they were doing and asking of me. I ended up drinking an absolute ton of water, thinking maybe it was just I was dehydrated, and then being in meetings. So after that last meeting, I kind of had some time to myself and put some soft music on to sort of relax, and that really helped. But that maturity level, it takes a lot to get to a point where you are comfortable saying things like, oh, I did not know that. I do not have the capacity to think about this in the way it deserves right now. I'm running on no sleep, and I want to give you the best I can. Could we reschedule? Being able to admit those vulnerabilities is very scary, because there's a lot of people who don't think that you should be talking about those things in an office, right? That your private life should be private and you shouldn't be complaining and this, that, and the other. If we are honest with each other, it helps avoid confusion, and it helps avoid frustration and hurt feelings. So maturity level, I think, is a really good call out. And the second link I have for you is from Very Well Mind, and it does talk about both situational leadership and situational leadership too. This was a pretty short one tonight. I just wanted to give you the basics. There probably is quite a lot more you could learn about this subject. But if you've ever used situational leadership, if you've ever studied it, let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't, what do you think? Do you think it's something you might be able to use? As always, if you have made it to the very end, I thank you. Be kind to yourself.